New York, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, unless you're middle class. Why are so many families abandoning the Big Apple, and what does it mean for the future of this iconic city? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a critical issue that's reshaping the landscape of one of the world's most famous cities, New York. Stay tuned because this is a story that could have global implications. New York City, once a symbol of opportunity and the American dream, is now facing a critical challenge that threatens its social and economic fabric. The middle class, long considered the backbone of any vibrant urban society, is rapidly disappearing from the city. As the middle class shrinks, the implications for New York are profound, with potential ripple effects that could impact cities around the globe. The rising cost of living, a barrier to middle-class stability. The cost of living in New York City has reached unprecedented heights, making it one of the most expensive cities in the world. According to a report from the Council for Community and Economic Research, New York consistently ranks among the top 5 most expensive cities in the United States, with a cost of living index that is 80% higher than the national average. Housing is the most significant contributor to this high cost, with the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan reaching nearly $4,000 per month, as of late 2023. In some of the most desirable neighborhoods, such as Tribeca or the Upper East Side, rents can easily exceed $5,000 per month. Even outside of Manhattan, in boroughs like Brooklyn and Queens, which were once considered more affordable, the median rents have soared. In Brooklyn, the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment is now over $3,200, while in Queens, it is just below $3,000. These rising rents are not only pricing out lower-income residents but are also making it increasingly difficult for middle-class families to remain in the city. Homeownership is also out of reach for many. The median home price in Manhattan has surpassed $1.5 million, while in Brooklyn it's close to $900,000. The cost of other essentials has also surged. A basic grocery bill in New York is approximately 40% higher than the national average, with common items like milk and bread costing significantly more than in other parts of the country. Transportation costs are also among the highest in the nation, with monthly public transit passes costing over $127, and car ownership being prohibitively expensive due to high insurance premiums, parking fees, and gas prices. Economic inequality, a growing divide. New York's economy is marked by stark inequality. The city is home to some of the wealthiest individuals in the world, with Wall Street executives, tech entrepreneurs, and real estate moguls commanding vast fortunes. According to a 2023 report by WealthX, New York City has the highest concentration of ultra-high net worth individuals, UHNWIs, in the world, with more than 8,600 people possessing assets of $30 million or more. In contrast, nearly 20% of New Yorkers live below the poverty line, and nearly half of the city's population is classified as low income, struggling to cover basic needs despite working full-time jobs. The middle class, which historically served as a buffer between the rich and the poor, is increasingly squeezed out. A study by the Pew Research Center found that between 2000 and 2020, the share of adults living in middle-income households in New York City fell by nearly 10 percentage points, a decline that is steeper than the national average. This growing economic divide is reflected in the city's job market. While high-paying jobs in finance, technology, and media are abundant, they are accessible primarily to those with advanced degrees and specialized skills. Meanwhile, jobs that traditionally supported middle-class lifestyles, such as those in manufacturing, education, and public service, are either disappearing or offering stagnant wages that have not kept up with the cost of living. For example, the median salary for a public school teacher in New York City is around $85,000, which, after taxes and living expenses, leaves little room for saving or discretionary spending. Wage stagnation and inflation, a perfect storm. Inflation has further exacerbated the financial strain on New Yorkers. While the U.S. inflation rate peaked at 9.1% in June 2022, the highest in over 40 years, New York City's inflation rate remained persistently high, driven by the cost of housing, transportation, and food. In contrast, wage growth has been sluggish. From 2017 to 2023, the average wage in New York City increased by just 3% annually, barely keeping pace with inflation. When adjusted for inflation, real wages in many sectors, particularly those that employ large numbers of middle-class workers, have actually declined. A report from the New York State Comptroller's Office highlights this disparity. In 2023, the average annual salary in New York City was approximately $92,000 before taxes. However, after accounting for the city's high tax burden and living costs, the disposable income for many residents is significantly lower than in other U.S. cities. For instance, in Houston, a city with a lower cost of living and no state income tax, the average salary is about $74,000, but residents enjoy a higher standard of living due to lower housing costs and taxes. Remote work and the middle-class exodus. The COVID-19 pandemic brought about a dramatic shift in the way people work, with remote work becoming a new norm for many industries. For middle-class New Yorkers, this shift presented an opportunity to leave the city while maintaining their jobs. According to data from the U.S. Census Bureau, between 2020 and 2022, New York City experienced a net loss of over 200,000 residents, many of whom were middle-class professionals moving to more affordable regions. States like Florida, Texas, and North Carolina have been the primary beneficiaries of this migration. In Miami, for example, the influx of former New Yorkers has driven up home prices, but the cost of living remains significantly lower than in New York City. Similarly, Austin, Texas, has seen a boom in tech workers relocating from New York, attracted by the city's vibrant culture and lower housing costs. In these cities, a six-figure salary stretches much further, allowing middle-class families to afford larger homes, better schools, and a higher quality of life. This migration trend has not only depopulated parts of New York City, but has also had economic implications. Local businesses, particularly in neighborhoods that were once middle-class strongholds, are struggling due to the loss of their customer base. Additionally, the city's tax revenue has been impacted, leading to budget deficits and further cuts in public services. Comparing New York with other global cities, we find that New York's struggles are not unique. Other global cities like London, Tokyo, and San Francisco are facing similar challenges with rising living costs and shrinking middle classes. However, the scale and intensity of New York's crisis stand out. London. Similar to New York, London has seen a significant increase in housing costs, with the average home price now over £500,000, approximately $675,000. However, London's middle class benefits from more robust public services, including healthcare and transportation, which are more affordable and widely accessible compared to New York. Despite this, London is also experiencing a middle-class exodus, with many residents moving to more affordable areas outside the city. Tokyo remains one of the most expensive cities in the world, but Japan's unique approach to urban planning and housing development has helped mitigate some of the pressures seen in New York. The city has maintained a relatively stable middle class due to lower crime rates, efficient public transportation, and government policies that promote affordable housing. However, Tokyo is not immune to rising inequality, and the cost of living remains a significant concern. San Francisco. Like New York, San Francisco is grappling with extreme housing costs and a shrinking middle class. The median home price in San Francisco is over $1.3 million, and the city has one of the highest rates of homelessness in the country. Tech workers dominate the city's economy, creating a divide between those who can afford to live there and those who cannot. The result is a city increasingly divided by wealth, with many middle-class residents relocating to more affordable parts of California or out of state entirely. The disappearance of the middle class in New York has far-reaching implications beyond the city's borders. As one of the world's most influential cities, New York sets trends that often reverberate globally. Impact on global real estate markets. The trend of middle-class flight from New York could signal shifts in real estate markets in other major cities. If middle-income residents continue to leave urban centers, demand for suburban and rural properties could increase, leading to rising prices in these areas and further exacerbating regional inequalities. Economic instability. The erosion of the middle class in a major economic hub like New York could contribute to broader economic instability. The middle class drives consumer spending, which is essential for economic growth. Their decline could lead to reduced demand for goods and services, impacting businesses not only in New York, but also in other cities facing similar challenges. Social unrest and political shifts. The growing economic divide in New York could fuel social unrest and lead to political shifts. As inequality deepens, the potential for social tensions increases, potentially giving rise to populist movements. This trend could be mirrored in other cities experiencing similar pressures, leading to greater political polarization globally. Reversing the decline of the middle class in New York will require bold action from policymakers, businesses, and community leaders. Solutions could include increasing the availability of affordable housing, raising wages, improving public services, and addressing the city's tax burden. Additionally, fostering economic diversity and creating opportunities for middle-income jobs will be crucial in rebuilding a robust middle class. New York's future depends on its ability to balance growth with inclusivity, ensuring that it remains a city of opportunity for all its residents, not just the wealthy. The disappearance of the middle class is not just a crisis for New York, but a warning for other global cities that could face similar challenges if these issues are not addressed. As New York faces the loss of its middle class, the city is at a crossroads. Will it continue to cater only to the wealthy, or can it find a way to bring back the balance and ensure that everyone has a place in this vibrant metropolis? The outcome will not only shape the future of New York, but could also serve as a blueprint or a warning for other cities around the world. If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest issues facing our world today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.